In the previous video, I explained that I was going to show you exactly how I create videos using a tool called Camtasia.
This video is brought to you by EpiPies Academy.
Now, whether you use Camtasia or any other video editing suite, the process is pretty similar, and even within PowerPoint you will still follow a similar process. So first of all, what I do is I drop in the actual voiceover. So I'll just click that and drop that into the timeline. So there's the entire voiceover, and it lasts approximately 1 minute and 5 seconds. Now when you look at this voiceover, you'll see that there are gaps, and these gaps are where the sentences within the script end. So we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 sections, and if you remember from the last video, there was actually 8 sections to the script, basically 8 sentences. So I'll just let you quickly listen to that first section there, just to give you a feel for the style of the video.
For homeowners in the Peak District that want to sell their property quickly at the highest possible price.
So as you can see, that's a nice clear English voice that I've chosen from Fiverr. So the next step is to drop in the graphics. So as you can see here, I've uploaded all of the graphics that you saw in the last video that I created within canva.com, and the first graphic is number 1. So add to the timeline, and that drops that in there. If you remember, I'm going to only show this as being 2 graphics within this one, so I will move the timeline along and I will add this second one in there, and then I'm going to pull this back to roughly the gap, because we're going to be putting a slight transition in there. So I'm just going to pull that back a little bit more, and that'll sit there. So that finishes when the voiceover artist finishes that sentence. And then number 3 is where they talk about the big national companies who don't really look after them. So I'm going to drop number 3 into that position, and number 3 lasts until the next gap, and then I'm just going to move this across here, and that will give me number 4, which is all about Peak Estates and how they've been established for 50 years and give a great service. If you remember, the gentleman there with the sailboat promoting Peak Estates logo, and then the next one, which is the sales rep. So we drop him in to there. If you notice, these are all sized exactly. I selected a size here of 1280 by 720, and when I created these graphics within Canva, I chose to create them at that size as well. That saves a lot of time. Just little tricks like this will really help you create videos very, very quickly. And when you look at the time now, I've been talking 3 minutes and I'm halfway through creating this video. It really is that simple. So I'm going to move the cursor along to this point here, and we get to the next one, and that's showing the unscrupulous estate agent who's maybe based in London or somewhere like that. We're basically creating a villain within the story. So we move that across to there, and then we drop in the sales rep from Peak again, and we pop him in there, pull it across to the gap again, okay, and just keep doing that process. As I say, the actual voiceover artist, as they read out each sentence, there'll be a natural gap that you'll see, and that's a visual key really for you to drag and drop your graphics to. If you remember on the last video, I said I'm going to be putting some copy in here, which we'll do in a second, and then finally the outro, where we'll give the call to action. There's a a verbal call to action on this, which is to tell people to call Peak Estates or visit them online, and I'm going to put the details in there. But what I want to do now is just go back to the very beginning and run through the process. So the listener here's the first part of the script, which identifies who they are, and it introduces the company, Peak Estates. It then introduces what they tend to complain about, what they're worried about, the villain of the story, which is the big nationals who really they don't feel comfortable doing business with, because they know they're just out for the cheapest possible price and they've really not got their interests at heart. Then we're introduced to Peak Estates and the trustworthy looking gentleman there in a nice blue background. Then we're introduced to his sales reps, who again, trustworthy guy, is there on his phone, is making appointments. But then again, the villain comes into the story, who's just out for a quick buck, and he wants to basically just get them to sign on the dotted line and collect his commission. But then we introduce, the good guy again, who's been very flexible and, organising his time around the client so everyone's happy. And then we promote the features of the company. So I'm just going to quickly go through. I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to go through and drop in some basically what I call call outs. So I'm going to add in these details, and I'll be back in just a second.